What are you doing in my storage room? You don't live here. Go away. Shoo! Hey. Hey. You. Get lost. Be flipping that tail at me. Ordinarily, we go to our secret garage to pull out a vehicle to test, but today we're going to pull it out of my personal garage. And let's see what we've got. I would say that's a brand new 2018 Nissan 370Z with bright yellow paint, which I think looks really nice. Ordinarily, Nissan would send me a vehicle loaded up with all the options. You know, leather, navigation, stereo, rocket launchers. In this case, they sent me a stripper. Nothing but a stick on the floor, AM/FM radio. We only had two options, $100 for carpeting and another $780 for the racing stripes. Well, you have to have that. And they shipped it all the way from Franklin, Tennessee, just for us. So I'm going to go inside, get the keys, and we'll take this out for a spin. Here's the base price, a bargain at $29,990. And the total tab, $31,795. Again, still a bargain. That price is a super bargain, and if you don't think so, then there's something wrong with you, or you just don't know cars. If you watch my videos, you know the first thing I do when I get a car is take it out in the dark and test the headlights. And that's what we're going to do right now. Looks like it's dark enough. Let's test these headlights and see what they do. Look pretty bright from here anyway. Here we have the headlights on a building 100 feet away. These are the low beams. Very bright. Rides a bit low to the ground, but then the car rides low to the ground. What do you expect? Go to the high beam. Appears bright enough. Here we have the brights on a building 300 feet away with a chain link fence in between. Excellent lights, very widespread, good and bright, reaches out. Low beam doesn't reach out as far, of course, but more than adequate for city driving on the backcountry roads. You'll need to do that. On backcountry roads, the high beams do a great job of lighting up the way. Low beams, not too bad as long as you're on level ground. And of course, having good headlights comes in handy when you're in a construction zone like this. Well, it looks like we ran out of pavement. I hope this ends. I would be the only person on the planet four-wheeling in a 370Z. Another good reason to have a good set of headlights on a road like this, you have lots of wildlife. Everything from small skunks to big mountain lions. You do not want to hit either, trust me. And if you're wondering why the camera's shaking, this is one of the roughest roads in the state. And this car is doing a pretty good job of absorbing the bumps, by the way, but we'll talk about that later. Right now, we're just talking about the headlights. Under the hood is a 3.7 liter V6 that's been around for a while. This one cranks out 332 horsepower. Base transmission is a 6-speed manual, but if you want a 7-speed automatic, that's a good choice as well. Fuel economy is rated 18 mpg in the city, 26 on the highway with 21 average overall. I did drive this several days in mixed commuting and got 21.0, so I guess all the other figures are pretty accurate. In the past, there are a lot of testers complaining this engine is very crude, rough, and noisy, and they're right. And it doesn't like being revved up to its 75 RPM redline either. It sounds like it's going to explode right out from under the hood. But on the positive side, it has gobs of bottom-end power. Also, it's indestructible. It's been around forever, proven to be very reliable. It's still a good engine and a good choice for this car. The Z has two interior features worth raving about. Here's one right here. The gauges are slanted towards the driver, which makes them easier to read. Why can't all cars do this? Feature number 2, instead of a wheel that tilts, the entire assembly tilts, gauges and everything. Again, why can't other car manufacturers do this? It works. I love the climate controls, 3 simple knobs. Doesn't get any better than that. Get a storage compartment, which is good because the glove box is way too small. You're not going to fit much in there. 2 worthless storage compartments behind the seats. And limited storage in the back as well. Surprisingly, there is a real spare tire underneath this platform, in case you get a flat. Nice to know. When it comes down to the bottom line, the only area in the cabin where you have any room are the 2 seats, which are generous enough for 2 people. One feature I didn't care for under the door, we've got one of the widest rocker panels I've ever seen in my life. Every time you step out, your pants leg is rubbing on this here. If it accumulates mud or dirt or any other debris, it's going to get on your pants. I'll give Nissan a pass on this because, after all, this is a sports car, not a practical car. Anytime I go out on the road, I have my tire repair kit. As you can see, limited choices of where to put it. Guess I'm not going to be picking up a passenger today, unless they want to put that in their lap. For those of you who like to shift for yourself, the 6-speed manual isn't the smoothest box I've ever used, but smooth enough. And the clutch isn't the lightest I've ever used, but adequate. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it a 9. But the question is, why would you want a 6-speed manual when you get a 7-speed automatic that's quicker, more economical, and easier to live with? And if you like shifting for yourself, there are paddle shifters located on the steering column. Also, this engine pulls like a tractor at low speeds and doesn't need any help with the manual transmission to get any power out of it. But if you have to have a manual box, well, go for it. In all fairness, I'm a bit biased on the issue because it's kind of hard to shift the clutch when you have a broken leg. Even more so when you have to take the cast off to fit your foot under the dash. If you hear screaming and moaning throughout this video, well, you'll know who's doing it and why. Most car companies give you satellite radio for free nowadays, along with a 6-month subscription to get you hooked. With Nissan, you still have to pay extra. If you don't, you get AM/FM radio, which I find very treacherous to listen to. Yep, this is what I'm going to be listening to for the rest of the week. Lucky me. We're going to reset the computer to do some highway driving tonight. See what type of fuel economy we can get. Stay tuned. Just for the record, the temperature tonight is rather cool at 53 degrees. And as you can see, traffic is rather light. So I think we might be getting some good MPG figures off this trip. We'll see. Here you go, 65.9 miles per hour, 27.7 mpg. Not bad, really. We're going to reset the computer and do a return trip. I think the elevation is slightly downhill, around 500 feet, so we might see an improvement. Guess we'll see. Let's do it. Okay, we're going to wrap this up with another 62 miles on the clock. We'll pull over and see what our fuel economy ended up being. Here you go, averaging 72 miles per hour, 31.0 mpg. Not bad. With excellent weight distribution, low ride height, and wide tires, this is a champ when taking corners. Definitely a true sports car. This engine has plenty of torque at the bottom end of its power band, so you don't have to downshift a lot when you're taking these corners. Which is why this engine is better suited to the 7-speed automatic instead of the 6-speed manual. This power steering leaves something to be desired. It's a bit on the heavy side. It has no feel or feedback. It does take some getting used to. For those interested, the 0 to 60 time on this vehicle is approximately 5.5 to 6 seconds, depending on driving conditions and whether you get the 6-speed manual or the 7-speed automatic. Either way, though, it's quick enough, certainly for me. A lot of car reviewers have been complaining about the stiff ride on the 370Z, and it only makes me laugh. They obviously never drove the older 350Zs. Now, that was a car that could knock the fillings out of your teeth. The simple fact is that over the years, Nissan's done a good job of smoothing out the ride on this car. Yes, it's a little on the stiff side, but not as bad as they're making it out to be. On the other hand, while you might not feel every bump on the road, you'll certainly hear it. This is one of the noisiest cars I've ever driven. A lot of rumbling noises coming up from underneath. If you're taking a short trip, say under 100 miles, you'll be fine, but if you're traveling from New York to Los Angeles, you might want to find a different car. In the end, I'm not going to complain about the noise level too much, because after all, this is a high-performance sports car, and that's to be expected on a vehicle like that, right? I was reading a review on a car site where a guy was complaining this vehicle is outdated because it doesn't have all the gadgets like pedestrian warning and radar cruise control, automatic steering, automatic braking, etc. You know what I say to that? I say good, because I don't want that garbage on my car. I want a nice, simple sports car. Don't need all that junk. As far as the price goes, a fully loaded Nissan 370Z with all the racing goodies will run you around $46,000, but I think this base vehicle at just over $31,000 makes just as much sense. There's a lot of car here for the money, and I like it. I like the bright yellow paint and the black racing stripes too, but I was kind of outvoted on that by some onlookers, but oh well, to each their own. We've got some links to other videos we've done. Those are coming up right now. Stay tuned. Liberty.